We're at a turning point in America. This bill is crucial, and history will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Why is it crucial? Well, if we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war, and we could be fighting in Eastern Europe and a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that.
This is my video update on this Tuesday, midday, February the 6th. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Chuck Schumer's interview on Morning Joe with Mika Brzezinski, where Schumer basically said that if the House does not approve the $60 billion for Project Ukraine, then the Putin the Putin and Russia will march all the way into NATO-controlled territory of Eastern Europe, into the NATO-controlled territory of Eastern Europe. And when and if that happens in a couple of years, then it means that the United States is going to have to send U.S. soldiers into Europe to fight Russia. And Schumer said American people are not going to like that. So better get to that $60 billion to Ukraine in order to prevent the Russian military and the Putin from making its way all the way to Europe and forcing the United States to come to the aid of its NATO allies. This is something that the U.S., the American citizen, does not want to see happen. So Schumer was like, let's get the $60 billion to Zelensky. The House has to approve the $60 billion to the Zelensky regime. And I'm wondering, as I was listening to Schumer speaking to Mika, I was wondering, how are the Russian troops, how is the Russian military going to make it all the way to Eastern Europe? How are they going to make it to Eastern Europe? Because Forbes, they put out an article on February 4th, 2024, with the title, Ukraine destroys more Russian vehicles faster. The Kremlin could run out of fighting vehicles in 6 months. In 6 months, the Kremlin is out of fighting vehicles. So how is Russia going to make it to Eastern Europe? Are they going to walk? Are they going to run? Are they going to drive tanks? Are they going to fly? How are they going to make it to Eastern Europe? How are they going to make it to Poland, to Romania, to the Baltics? How are they going to do this? Are they going to hitchhike? Are they going to wait at the side of the road, a whole bunch of Russian soldiers with all their equipment, and just be like holding a sign? Bucharest or bust. People are going to be driving by, and there's going to be all these Russian soldiers, and they'll be like, hey, where are you guys going? And they'll be like, we want to make our way to Bucharest. They're like, all right, come on in. Just put all your equipment in the back. Put all of the guns and and artillery. Just throw it all in the back. The drones. Oh, man. Chucky Schumer. So it's obvious that this is just about getting that washing machine moving. That's what this is all about. One big washing machine operation. A $60 billion washing machine operation. That's at least that's one part of what this is all about. I believe another part of what this is all about is trying to prevent an Afghanistan-like Zelensky collapse, Ukraine collapse. At least not while President Biden is in office, not while the Democrats have their guy in office. And so Chuck Schumer, he told Mika, he said this, and I quote, "Too many Republicans, including Speaker Johnson, are scared to death of Donald Trump, who says, 'Let's wait until I become president,' which will take at least a year. Ukraine could be gone." So Trump told Mika that the Republicans in the House are afraid of Trump, okay? And that Trump's message is, don't do anything on Project Ukraine until I become president. And Schumer is then telling Mika, we can't wait 1 year until Trump becomes president. Ukraine could be gone, poof, could disappear in a year. So we got to keep Ukraine afloat. You see, Schumer, he gives the game away. He gives the game away. Ukraine could be gone, but let's have it be gone when Trump is president. That's pretty much what Schumer is saying. Because everyone knows that 60 billion is not going to make a difference in this conflict. 60 billion is not going to do, 60 billion to Ukraine is not going to do what 300 billion and 10 years of NATO training and weapons could not accomplish. A defeat of the Russian military, a regime change of the Putin government. 300, 400, 500 billion over 10 years, plus all the NATO weapons, all the NATO training over 10 years. And they still cannot defeat the Russian military. So what is 60 billion going to accomplish? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. One last washing machine operation, and they're hoping that the 60 billion, along with another 10 or 20 billion that the EU is going to give Ukraine now from the 50 billion package, it'll be another, say, 12 or 15 billion that they'll be able to get to Ukraine in 2024, that all of this money will be enough to keep Zelensky afloat, to keep the Ukraine government afloat, to prevent a collapse. And then once Trump becomes president, according to Schumer, Ukraine could be gone. Ukraine could be gone if we don't get the money. But once Trump becomes president, Ukraine is gone, but we can blame the orange man. That's what Schumer is saying. That is exactly what Schumer is saying. And his logic, there's a part to his logic which is correct. The part that is correct is that if they manage to keep Ukraine afloat and Ukraine does collapse under a Trump presidency, then absolutely they can blame Trump, even though it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all, but they'll be able to blame Trump because one of the rules of life, and it's an unfair rule, but it is kind of a rule, is that whoever is sitting in the chair when bad stuff goes down, that's usually the person that takes the blame. It's like a company that's about to go bankrupt. So the CEO leaves, it's replaced by a new CEO, and then the company goes bankrupt right at the time that the new CEO is in the position. The new CEO is going to be blamed. Of course, that new CEO can say, "Look, it's not my fault. The previous guy before me, that guy did a terrible job managing the company, and the company was going to fail. And I came in trying to save the business. You were the guy. You were the guy that was sitting in the seat when everything collapsed, and so that guy's going to get a lot of the blame, and that's what they're betting on." Or at least that's one part of what they're betting on. If Trump wins, and it's looking like Trump will win, then Ukraine can collapse, and then they can blame it on Ukraine. And, it really is the best of all worlds for the neolib, neocon, globalist class, if you think about it. They wash their hands of Ukraine, right? Say Trump wins in 2024 November. Then and Ukraine is kept afloat. They wash their hands of Ukraine, they blamed Trump, and they got the 60 billion into Project Ukraine, so they all made a lot of money, or they made their last amounts of money. So it really is for them, it's a win-win-win if they can get the 60 billion and keep Zelensky above water. So that's the thinking behind all of this, in my opinion. And while we're on the subject of big paydays, let's discuss the latest ridiculous scheme from the collective West to steal the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets. Yep, we got another scheme to seize, not freeze, as Ursula stated once upon a time. So in an article published by the FT, the Belgian government has a new clever plan to seize the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets. According to the Financial Times, governments of the collective West would raise debt to finance the Ukrainian government, and then demand that Russia repay that debt. If Russia refuses, then the G7 would seize the frozen Russian assets being held in Europe and the US. Did you guys get that? Did you guys get that? So the previous plan, let's go back a bit. Let's step back. The previous plan, which is connected to this new plan, was that Ukraine would issue reparation bonds, right? And the collateral would be the Russian frozen assets. So Ukraine would issue bonds. Most likely those bonds would be issued to collective West countries, like to the United States. And the collateral on that loan and on that debt is the Russian frozen assets. That was the previous plan, and everyone was like, this is just theft. You're using someone else's assets as collateral for your loan. This is nonsense, right? And everyone called it out as to what it was, which was stealing, right? And so now you have the Belgian government coming up with this new brilliant scheme. I don't even know if you can call it a plan. It's a scheme. It's a robbery scheme, a robbery plan. And now what the Belgian government is suggesting is that collective West governments raise debt. So the United States raises 100 billion in debt, finances Ukraine, and this is the best part. I love this part. And then demands that Russia repay that debt. And if Russia refuses, then the G7 can just take the 300 billion in frozen assets and say, well, you refused to repay the debt, so we're just going to take the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets. Oh my God, I can't believe these people run countries. I really can't believe they run countries, man. Oh boy. So the Financial Times said that the plan is seen as a way to circumvent the legal issue of confiscating Russian assets. A person with knowledge of the negotiations told the FT the idea is now the leading option to unlock frozen Russian funds and send them to Ukraine. So what is Russia saying about this latest new scheme to steal Russian frozen assets? Well, commenting on this plan, Peskov said it would be deeply illegal and stressed that Russia will defend its interests. There will be very, very long, for many decades, judicial prospects, both for those who make these decisions and for those who implement them, the spokesman warned. Encroachment on someone else's property undermines the foundations of the entire economic system, Peskov added. I love this plan. I mean, I really, really love this plan. Let's see here. What is this plan like? This plan is like taking out a loan, like taking out a $10,000 loan, and then telling your neighbor, going to the bank, taking out a $10,000 loan, and then telling your neighbor to pay the bank $10,000. And if your neighbor refuses to pay the bank $10,000, then you're going to steal your neighbor's car. Oh my God. This could be my cloud world. Video's done. Video's over. That's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. Oh boy. Anyway, all right. Let's move on. So let's do an update on the possible Tucker Carlson interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to various Russian media outlets, yesterday Tucker was spotted or seen entering the Kremlin. He was there for about an hour. The reports are that Tucker and his team were conducting pre-interview work. And the reports are that today, Tucker and his entire production staff, his entire crew, are going to be at the Kremlin interviewing Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's the news. Those are the rumors. Those are the reports. Let's wait and see. There are a bunch of leaks on the interwebs, on Twitter and on Telegram, which claim that they have some of the questions that are going to be asked to Russian President Putin, but I can't confirm these leaks. So I think it's just best to wait for the interview to happen and then wait for Tucker Carlson to upload the interview onto his streaming network and hopefully onto Twitter X, where that interview will break the internet and it's also going to break the brains of just about every globalist, neolib, and neocon on the planet. That's for sure. They're still freaking out about the possibility that Tucker is going to interview Putin. They are absolutely freaking out at the possibility that Tucker is going to interview Putin. Let me see here if I think I've got a meme and a tweet that I want to share with everyone. Here's a tweet from Guy Verhofstadt, who's this uber neolib, super pro EU parliament guy. He's been in the parliament for like the EU parliament for 150 years. It seems. I mean, he lives, eats, sleeps in the EU parliament, and this guy's like super duper uber pro EU. And he despises Putin and Russia. He absolutely hates Russia. Anyway, this guy said on a post in Twitter X, he said, Tucker Carlson is surely on the path to being labeled a propagandist for the regime. If he enables disinformation for Putin, the EU should explore a travel ban. A travel ban on Tucker Carlson? He hasn't even published the interview, and this guy's already saying it's disinformation. Wait for the interview to be published. If the interview even happens, if it takes place, wait for it to be published. Listen to what Putin has to say, and then let the people decide if this is disinformation. I think people are smart enough to understand if Putin is disinforming or not disinforming. But at least wait for the video, for the interview to be published before you come out and call for a travel ban and say that this is already disinformation. I mean, my God, bro. My God. Check out this meme. Liberals be like. And there you can see Barbara Walters with Putin. There is Stephanopoulos with Putin. It says journalism. Barbara Walters with Putin. Stephanopoulos with Putin journalism. Some other guy with Putin. I think that's Charlie Rose. It says journalism with Putin. And then it has Tucker and Putin, and it says treason. That's exactly right. Why are they so scared? Why are they so scared when other journalists in the past have interviewed Putin and they haven't freaked out? They're afraid because Tucker's going to be objective. He's going to conduct a good interview. He's not going to manipulate. He's not going to try to catch Putin in a lie or something like that, and they're afraid. And even more important than the actual interview, in my opinion, is the post-production, right? Tucker is not going to edit anything. He's not going to take anything that Putin says out of context. None of that stuff. He'll publish the entire interview as it went down. So Tucker and his team have full editing, production control, and they're going to allow Putin to speak in the entirety of the interview. So this scares the crap out of them, because before you could have like Charlie Rose or Barbara Walters or Stephanopoulos. Let's just take Stephanopoulos. He could interview Putin, and then CNN can chop up some bits of the interview and publish those pieces. And a lot of analysts would take Putin out of context, or they would manipulate the pieces so that it presented Putin in a certain bad light. And that's how it used to go in the past. But now you're going to have Tucker Carlson sitting down with Putin for, 30 minutes or an hour, whatever. And he's going to be able to publish the interview as it happened from beginning to end. And we'll be able to decide how we see Putin. And I think most people, I'll bet money on it that most people are going to have a very, very favorable opinion of Putin if they go into the interview with an open mind. Anyway, the freak out is real. The freak out is massive. And if this interview does happen and it gets published, the freak out's going to be epic. I mean, epic. Oh, let's hope it happens. Let's hope this interview does happen, and let's hope it's published very soon on Tucker Carlson Network. I believe it's his streaming service, TCN, and Twitter X. Anyway, that's the update with the possible interview between Tucker and the leader of Russia. And speaking of leaders, let's talk about the awesome leader in Kiev, Green Frodo Zelensky. And Zelensky, according to various sources from his media office, he went to Rabotinya. Actually, Zelensky even put out a video, allegedly, a video of him visiting the very front lines of Rabotinya. Now, I don't know if you remember Rabotinya. That was the village that Ukraine captured 37 times during the great super duper spring-summer counter-offensive. And Russia has captured now most of that very, very tiny village. We're talking like maybe 4 or 5 homes. But Russia has captured back most of that village. But this was the big success in Ukraine's super duper counteroffensive. And allegedly, Zelensky went to the very, very front line of Rabotinya. A very dangerous trip from Zelensky. But, Zelensky, he fears nothing. He fears no man. Zelensky is fearless. I'm fearless. I go Rabotinya. I fear no one. I fear nothing. And they even put out a video, and no one is buying it. No one is buying it, man. Not even Ukraine, not even pro-Ukraine analysts are buying this narrative that Zelensky made his way to Rabotinya. I believe Dima at the military summary channel even said that to get to Rabotinya is like a 6-kilometer hike. Like you can't drive a vehicle, you can't get there except on foot. And it's super dangerous. And so there's no way that Zelensky walked 6 kilometers to Rabotinya and filmed himself with Ukrainian soldiers in that area. And many people are like, didn't happen. I can't say if it happened or not, but who knows? Who knows? My hunch is that something else went down. A lot of analysts say that Zelensky actually went to a different village, further away from Rabotinya. I believe the village was Orekov or something like that. A different village more protected by the Ukraine military and without having to walk 6 kilometers. And that's where Zelensky actually filmed himself with Ukrainian soldiers on the front line. Anyway, Orekov, I believe, is where they say Zelensky actually was, and not Rabotinye. But Zelensky, he did put up a video claiming that he wasn't at Rabotinye. He put up like a very well-produced video with him on the front lines, looking at battle plans and strategizing with the soldiers. Obviously, he did that to show that he's in control of the military and not Zelensky. Alexander made that point in his video update yesterday, and he's 100% spot on. The first video that was published of Zelensky at Rabotinye, the very well-produced video with him and the soldiers looking at maps and strategizing, was meant to show that Zelensky is in charge of the military. But then he put up another video, and he's sitting in a tent with a lot of wind, and he's speaking about the fighting that is going on at Rabotinye. And you're seeing the video right now on your screen. I don't know. I don't know about this video. I'm no expert. I am no film photography FX expert, film expert, but that video does not look legit. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I could be 100% wrong, but something tells me that Ukraine's production budget is hurting. Ukraine's media and production budget has taken a hit. You better get that 60 billion to the Zelensky regime, because they need to buy some more green screen or blue screen equipment, more lighting. I don't know. I don't know about that video. There are reports coming out, by the way, that Zelensky is close to firing not only Zelensky, he's been close to firing Zelensky now for like the past 2 weeks. But anyway, they say he's getting very close now to actually firing Zelensky. And along with Zelensky, he's going to fire 50 other officials from the government and from the military. A military purge is basically what reports are claiming. What a weird firing, huh? We've had like a dozen articles in all the collective West media saying that Zelensky is firing Zelensky. And we're like 2 weeks into this, and Zelensky is still there. What a weird firing, man. Zelensky even called the White House and said, I'm firing Zelensky. Allegedly, he called the White House and said, I'm firing Zelensky. And Sullivan, there are reports that Sullivan was like, okay, we're not going to stop you from firing Zelensky. This was like 3 days ago. I wonder what Zelensky's doing. He's waking up in the morning, like getting his coffee and reading the Financial Times or CNN. And it's like, you're going to be fired today. Oh, really? No, you're going to be fired tomorrow. Oh, really? You're going to be fired in a week. Weird firing. So the word on the street is that the CIA is back in charge of Project Ukraine. There was a time when the CIA was in charge, way in the beginning of this conflict, and even before the conflict, Maidan, the coup, everything was being run by the CIA. And then once the war started, the conventional war started, Milley took over and the Pentagon took over operations. And now that the conventional war has been lost, the word on the street, this is the word on the street, I can't confirm this, but the sources are very good. The word on the street is that the Pentagon now wants to distance itself from Project Ukraine, and they're passing it back over to the CIA. So check out this post from Medvedev that he put up on Twitter X. A projected global railroad going from Spain through the south of Europe is supposed to end in Lvov. It looks like the first acknowledgement that Lvov, Lemberg, will be the new capital of Ukraine within the borders of Lvov region. And the point here is not that the tracks in the West and Malorossiya differ in width. It's just that business is a lot more prescient than politicians. That is an amazing post from Medvedev. An amazing post from Medvedev. And he's right. He is right. I think he's right. That's the plan. The CIA is back in charge. Budanov is, in my opinion, we'll see. We'll see if I'm correct or not. But in my opinion, Budanov's going to take over once Zelensky finally gets around to firing Zelensky. And yeah, the CIA is going to move things towards an insurgency type of operation, with Lvov being the base, being the HQ. That's what Medvedev is kind of saying, and that's what I think we're heading towards. But we'll see. We'll see. I could be completely wrong on all this stuff. Maybe Zelensky regime changes, Zelensky. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. So before we get to some clown worlds, we had elections in El Salvador, and Bukele, he won his re-election in a landslide. So that happened over the weekend. And now let's do some clown worlds. And let's start things off with this post from Neocon Nikki, which she actually posted on February the 2nd, I think, the 2nd or 3rd. But I spotted this post the other day, and it's pretty hilarious. So Neocon Nikki, she put this up on Twitter X, or her social media team put this up on Twitter X. Americans want a choice in this election, not a rerun. I'm overwhelmed by all of the kind words. We'll keep working hard to make you proud. and she put up 2 screenshots of letters, a letter and an email that she claims supporters sent her. You're seeing the 2 screenshots up on the screen right now. So the letter obviously is a font type. I mean, this is not a handwritten letter. Oh man, who writes a letter like that? Who has that type of handwriting? And then you have the other screenshot, which is an email. But the email, you still have the send button down below. Oh man. You have the send button. What else? It says to Nikki Haley in the to field. Who writes emails like that? Obviously, her social media team forgot to click send to themselves when they were composing this email about how awesome Neocon Nikki is. Please, Nikki Haley, please don't drop out of the campaign. Please. We need you in this campaign for the full year. If anything, just so you can win the Clown of the Year award. Stay in this campaign so you can win the Clown of the Year award. Oh my God. Oh, what else? From Nikki Haley, let's make our way over to, let's see here. Oh boy. To Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak. So the Prime Minister of the UK, he said that London is ready to repel an attack by the Russian armed forces if Moscow turns its guns on the UK. Sunak believes the British troops are ready to fight the Russians on equal terms. Quote, do I think we are well protected and have invested enough in defense? Yes, we are the 2nd largest defense spender in NATO, Sunak said. I can't confirm this statement from Sunak. I haven't seen this reported in the Collective West media. I've seen this on a bunch of Telegram channels and Twitter posts, but to be honest, I can't confirm this 100%. But it sounds like something Sunak would say. Yeah, the UK's ready to fight Russia. Yeah, okay, Sunak. Oh boy. Let's go this way around. Let's do a final clown world. I'm saving the best for last. And Joe Biden. Joe Biden gave a speech yesterday, and Biden revealed that he can speak to dead people. I see dead people. Yeah, Biden can speak to the dead, to those who have passed away and have gone on to the afterlife. Biden revealed this yesterday in a speech that he gave. I'm not sure where this speech was, but Biden was preparing to talk about once again to talk about Jan 6 and Orange Man bad and an attack on the U.S.'s democracy. So he was about to launch into that whole shtick, right? And he wanted to tell a story to prepare for the Jan 6 Orange Man bad democracy part. So he's about to tell his story, or he's telling his story, and he says, and Biden says, when I was elected, one of the first trips I made was to the G7, to a G7 meeting, and I told the leaders of the G7, America is back. And Mitterrand, Chancellor of Germany, or France, or whatever, he couldn't figure it out. He's like, Mitterrand, Chancellor of Germany or France, told me, how long are you back for? And people actually laughed in the crowd. They were actually taking Biden seriously. Anyway, check out the video, and I'll be back.
You know, right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. It was in the south of England. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from France looked at me and said, you know, why, how long are you back for? And I looked at him, and the Chancellor of Germany said, what would you say, Mr. President, if you picked up the paper tomorrow in the London Times, and the London Times said, 1,000 people break through the House of Commons, break down the doors, 2 bobbies are killed in order to stop the election of the Prime Minister. What would you say? I never thought about it from that perspective. What would we say if that happened in another democracy around the world?
All right, so that was Biden. People actually laughed at his comment about the French chancellor, the German chancellor, Mitterrand, or whatever. He got the whole thing completely confused. And people were like actually laughing when he said that the Chancellor of Germany asked him, how long are you back for? Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Mitterrand, the Chancellor of Germany or France or whatever. So Mitterrand was president of France between 1981 and 1994, 95. And I believe he passed away something like 90, 96, 97, like 25 years ago. Who knows? A long, long time ago, Mitterrand passed away. And anyway, Biden spoke to him. That's all you have to know. Biden spoke to Mitterrand, the Chancellor of Germany. How is this bad president? All right, everybody, that's the video, the Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, Twitter X, and Rumble. Did I say Rumble? And Rumble. And go to the Duran shop, 15% off all t-shirts. I'm wearing my long sleeve Portugal shirt today. Take care.